The Silent Watchers. The Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Confederacy fell silent as High Administrator Zextrol entered. His four compound eyes blinked methodically as he moved toward the center of the vast circular room. Representatives from over 300 species watched from their respective platforms, many leaning forward in anticipation. Honored representatives, Zextrol began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the standard galactic language. Our survey vessel has detected primitive interplanetary transmissions from an unregistered world in Sector 7B. The species calls themselves humans. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. New species were rare, especially ones that developed without Confederacy guidance. "Show us," commanded Elder Representative Morven, his aged tentacles swaying gently. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, revealing a blue-green planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. "Their civilization is fragmented into nation-states," continued Zextrol. "They've achieved rudimentary spaceflight, but haven't ventured beyond their own satellite. Their technology is primitive, but advancing rapidly." "Are they a threat?" asked Representative Quilks of the Vespari Dominion, her exoskeleton clicking nervously. "They are concerning," replied Zextrol. "Their history reveals a species prone to conflict. They've developed nuclear weapons and have used them against their own kind. Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented." The holographic display showed scenes from human history, wars, scientific breakthroughs, environmental disasters, and recovery efforts. "I recommend a direct first contact to assess their readiness for galactic inclusion," Zextrol concluded. "Approved." Elder Morven nodded. "But proceed with caution. We've seen promising species turn dangerous before." Captain Alina Rodriguez stared at the radar screen of the interplanetary research vessel Prometheus. Something was wrong. The unidentified object had appeared at the edge of their detection range just beyond Mars orbit and was approaching rapidly. Too rapidly for any human spacecraft. "Any response to our hails?" she asked, turning to Communications Officer Lu Wei. "Nothing, Captain," Lu replied, adjusting her headset. "I've tried all frequencies, including the experimental quantum band. If they're receiving, they're not answering." The bridge crew of 7 watched as the object's trajectory brought it directly toward them. The Prometheus was the most advanced vessel humanity had built, a joint effort between the United Earth Space Agency and the Mars Colonial Administration, but it was primarily a research vessel with minimal defensive capabilities. "It's decelerating," announced Navigation Officer Kowalski, his voice tense. "Whatever it is, it's matching our orbit." "All hands to stations," Alina ordered. "Activate defensive protocols." The object, now clearly visible through the main viewport, was unlike anything they had ever seen. It resembled a massive teardrop with iridescent patterns flowing across its surface, approximately 5 times the size of their vessel. "Captain," Lu called, suddenly excited. "We're receiving a transmission. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not human." "Put it through." The bridge speakers emitted a series of clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones that made no sense to the human crew. "Run it through the translation matrix," Alina ordered. "Already trying, Captain," Lu responded. "The computer can't make sense of it." The alien vessel moved closer, too close for comfort. "They're scanning us," Security Chief Jackson reported, monitoring the defensive systems. Intense energy readings across multiple spectrums. Alina made a split-second decision. Fire a warning shot. Far enough to show we're armed, but not looking for a fight. Jackson nodded and pressed the firing control. A pulse of energy from the Prometheus's defensive array shot past the alien vessel, deliberately missing by a safe margin. Inside the Confederacy contact ship, alarms blared. First Contact Specialist Vrel Max stumbled as the ship's artificial gravity briefly fluctuated. "They've fired upon us," shouted his assistant. "Impossible," Vrel Max replied. "Their technology is too primitive to harm us. It must be a misunderstanding." "Confederacy protocol is clear. interrupted the ship's defense officer. Any aggressive action requires immediate containment response. Wait, we need tow. But it was too late. The Confederacy vessel's automated defense systems activated. A brilliant beam of blue energy lanced out, striking the human vessel with surgical precision. Captain Rodriguez barely had time to sound the evacuation alarm before the Prometheus broke apart. Emergency pods launched from the disintegrating ship, but only 3 managed to clear the blast radius. The remaining crew, including Elena, perished as their vessel collapsed into a field of debris. The emergency session of the Confederacy Grand Assembly was contentious. Representatives argued fiercely about the incident that had claimed the lives of 24 humans. These humans responded to a peaceful approach with weapons fire, argued Representative Quilks. They are clearly not ready for contact. Our approach protocols failed to account for their specific communication methods, countered Representative Talas of the Arcturus Collective. This tragedy resulted from our mistake. Elder Morven raised his tentacles for silence. What's done is done. We must decide how to proceed. Science Advisor Jor-Leth activated a holographic display showing Earth and its solar system. They are confined to one planetary system with minimal presence beyond their homeworld. Their technology is primitive by our standards, though they advance quickly. They appear to be fragmented into nation-states rather than unify as a species. Are they a threat? Asked Elder Morven. Jor-Leth hesitated. Potentially. Their history is filled with warfare, but also cooperation and resilience. They are unpredictable and adaptable. The survivors of our encounter will undoubtedly share what they witnessed. Elder Morven considered this information. The Confederacy has maintained peace for 12 millennia. We cannot risk a destabilizing element. What do you propose? Asked Representative Talas. Containment, Elder Morven declared. We will establish a quarantine zone around their solar system and monitor them from a distance. When they eventually develop interstellar capability, if they ever do, we can reassess. The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth and its solar system would be isolated from the galactic community, surrounded by automated monitoring stations that would alert the Confederacy to any attempt by humans to leave their solar system. As the assembly concluded, Jor-Leth approached Elder Morven privately. What of the survivors? They saw our technology. A minor concern, replied Morven. Their account will sound like fantasy to their leaders, who would believe that advanced aliens approach were fired upon and responded with overwhelming force. It would require the humans to acknowledge their insignificance. Their psychology suggests they're incapable of such humility. Neither of them noticed Representative Talas observing their conversation, her expression troubled. Later, she quietly accessed the complete data on human biology, psychology, and history. Something about these humans intrigued her. Their adaptability, their resilience, their unpredictability. Perhaps the Confederacy was making a terrible mistake. 50 years passed. Earth changed. The nations that had once competed fiercely now worked together. They had to. The return of the 3 survivors from the Prometheus disaster had initially been dismissed as the ravings of traumatized astronauts, until they provided video evidence of the encounter. Humanity realized it was not alone in the universe. More importantly, they realized they were hopelessly outmatched. The United Earth Council was formed, bringing together the planet's resources and brightest minds. Mars colonization accelerated, providing humanity a backup should Earth face destruction. Research into advanced propulsion, energy weapons, and defensive systems became the priority. Commander Jason Chen stood at the viewport of Titan Outpost, Saturn's largest moon hosting humanity's furthest permanent settlement. His reflection stared back at him, a man in his 40s with determination etched into his features. "Commander, you need to see this," called Dr. Amara Okafor, the station's chief scientist. Jason followed her to the sensor lab, where holographic displays showed unusual energy readings at the edge of the solar system. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Active scanning patterns," Amara replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. consistent with monitoring technology. They're faint, but our new quantum sensors can detect them. We found similar signatures at 27 different points, creating a sphere around our entire solar system. Jason frowned. A containment field. Exactly. We're in a fishbowl, Commander, and something's watching. How long have these been there? Amara hesitated. Based on dust accumulation patterns and orbital decay, approximately 50 years. The implications were clear. Since the Prometheus incident, humanity had been quarantined and monitored. The discovery went straight to Earth's Unified Defense Command. Within weeks, a top-secret initiative was launched, Project Breakthrough. Its mission: to study the alien monitoring technology without alerting the Watchers, develop countermeasures, and prepare humanity's response. Deep beneath the Martian surface, in a facility shielded from all known detection methods, Dr. Hikaru Nakamura examined fragments of alien technology recovered from captured monitoring devices under powerful microscopes. The energy signature is unlike anything we've ever developed, he said to General Sarah Williams, who stood beside him. It's almost like they found a way to manipulate subspace itself. Can we replicate it? The general asked. Hikaru smiled. Better. We can improve upon it. The monitors were designed to be efficient, not cutting edge. They're using technology that's probably centuries old by their standards. Reliable, but not their best. In another section of the facility, engineers began construction on Earth's first prototype vessel, incorporating the reverse-engineered alien tech. How long until it's operational? General Williams asked the chief engineer. 3 years, maybe 4, she replied. We're learning as we go. Make it 2, Williams responded. We don't know how much time we have. On Earth, life continued normally. People went to work, fell in love, had children. They looked up at the stars with a mixture of wonder and apprehension, knowing that among those stars, decisions had been made about humanity's fate. But in hidden facilities across the solar system, humanity prepared. The quarantine would eventually be tested, and Earth would be ready. 30 more years passed. The fruits of Project Breakthrough matured in secret. Humanity had spread throughout its solar system, establishing bases on every major planetary body, all while carefully maintaining the appearance of slower, conventional technological progress when operating in areas they knew were being monitored. In the massive underground hangar on Mars, Chief Engineer Maya Patel wiped sweat from her brow as she supervised the final preparations of humanity's first true interstellar warship. The vessel bore little resemblance to conventional human designs. 2 kilometers long, with a midnight black hull that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, the ship was the culmination of 3 decades of secret development. Its curves followed the mathematics of the new physics humans had discovered by studying alien technology. She's beautiful, said Admiral James Chen, son of the commander who had discovered the containment field. Maya nodded. The Defiance, our answer to whatever's out there. When will she be ready? 3 weeks, Maya replied. We're installing the quantum drive now. Weapon systems are at 90%. Shield generators are operational. Admiral Chen stared at the massive vessel. A ship that could fight. A ship that could defend. A ship that could, if necessary, attack. Meanwhile, at Lunar Command, General Darius Washington reviewed the latest deployment plans. On the wall-sized screen before him, tiny dots represented the network of stealth satellites positioned throughout the solar system. Coverage is now at 93%, reported Lieutenant Jessica Klein. We're tracking all alien monitoring devices and can simulate normal readings even when we operate in their surveillance zones. Darius nodded. And the aliens? No change in their monitoring pattern. As far as we can tell, they have no idea we've detected them or that we've advanced this far. Little did they know how soon that would change. In the Confederacy monitoring station at the edge of human space, observer Krultox noticed an anomaly in the readings from the quarantine system. After 80 years of routine monitoring, something had changed. Supervisor, he called, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the human system. Supervisor Zinvex moved to examine the readings, probably another of their primitive nuclear tests. They've been conducting them regularly. This is different, Krell-Tox insisted. The signature doesn't match any previous pattern. Zinvex frowned. Inform Central Command. It's time for the Centennial inspection anyway. We'll send a scout ship to investigate. The quarantine was about to be tested. Breaking the chains. Commander Zinvex studied the reports with growing concern. It had been 80 years since the Galactic Confederacy had placed the quarantine around the human solar system. Standard procedure required a check every century, but something in the monitoring data suggested this visit couldn't wait. Prepare the scout fleet, he ordered his second-in-command. 3 vessels should be sufficient. These humans are still primitive by our standards. Yes, Commander, replied Officer Trellnox, her carapace gleaming under the ship's lights. Should we prepare first contact protocols again? Zinvex made a negative gesture with his upper limbs. No, we observe only. The quarantine remains in effect until the Grand Assembly decides otherwise. As the Confederacy vessels prepared to depart, the monitoring station continued to report unusual energy signatures from the human system. On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral James Chen received the alert from Pluto Outpost. 3 vessels have appeared at the edge of our system, reported Communications Officer Zara Ibrahim. Configuration matches the description of the ship that destroyed the Prometheus 80 years ago. Chen's expression remained calm, but his pulse quickened. How long until they reach sensor range of the Defiance? Approximately 6 hours at their current speed, replied Navigator Thomas Wright. Chen nodded. Inform Earth Command. All stations, battle readiness protocol. Let's see if our stealth systems work as designed. The massive ship, hidden in the shadow of Mars, powered up its systems. Across the solar system, human installations activated emergency protocols, carefully maintaining false readings to the alien monitoring devices while preparing for possible conflict. Earth Command's response was immediate. Operation First Light is authorized. Admiral Chen has full operational discretion. May God be with you all. Chen turned to his executive officer. Commander Patel, set course to intercept the alien vessels beyond Jupiter's orbit. We'll confront them far from Earth. Sir, Patel replied, shouldn't we wait to see their intentions? Their intentions were made clear 80 years ago, Chen replied. But we're not looking for revenge. We're establishing boundaries. The Defiance moved silently out of Mars' shadow, its advanced propulsion system leaving no conventional exhaust trail. To all conventional sensors, it might as well have been a ghost. Commander, called Sensor Officer Drellpack aboard the lead Confederacy vessel, we're detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations ahead. Zinvex moved to the sensor station. Source: unknown. It doesn't match any natural phenomenon in our database. Suddenly, the ship's emergency systems activated. Alarms blared across the bridge. Massive object directly ahead, shouted Drellpack. It just appeared. The view screen adjusted to show what should have been empty space. Instead, a massive black vessel hung there, dwarfing the Confederacy scout ships. Its design was unlike anything in Confederacy records, sleek, predatory, and unmistakably a warship. Impossible, whispered Zinvex. The humans shouldn't have this technology for at least another century. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Vreltis. Zinvex hesitated, then nodded. Open the channel. The view screen changed to show a human male in a dark uniform, his face stern but composed. This is Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiance. You are in violation of sovereign human space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Zinvex was momentarily speechless. The human was speaking perfect Standard Galactic, the common language of the Confederacy. They shouldn't have been able to decode it, let alone speak it. This is Commander Zinvex of the Galactic Confederacy. This system is under quarantine by order of the Grand Assembly. Chen's expression didn't change. We are aware of your containment field. We are also aware that your Confederacy destroyed an unarmed human research vessel 80 years ago after a misunderstanding. The quarantine is not recognized by humanity and is hereby declared null and void. Zinvex felt his lower limbs twitch with anxiety. This wasn't how primitives were supposed to behave. Your species is not ready for integration into the galactic community, he stated firmly. Return to your planet and continue your natural development. When you achieve proper interstellar capability through your own efforts, the Confederacy will reconsider. Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Commander, look at your sensor readings again. Does this ship appear to be the result of natural development? We've been studying your monitoring technology for decades. The quarantine ended the moment we discovered it. Zinvex's compound eyes widened. He turned to his science officer. Scan that vessel. Full spectrum. After a moment, the science officer looked up in shock. Commander, they're using modified versions of our own technology. Advanced modifications. Their power readings exceed our vessels by a factor of at least 20. Impossible, Zinvex hissed. They can't have advanced this quickly. On the view screen, Admiral Chen continued. We are not seeking conflict with the Confederacy. We propose the immediate lifting of all quarantine measures and the beginning of diplomatic relations between our civilizations as equals. Zinvex felt trapped. Confederacy protocol was clear. No negotiation with quarantine species. But this situation was unprecedented. I do not have the authority to negotiate, he replied finally. I must report this development to the Grand Assembly. You misunderstand, Commander, Chen replied calmly. This is not a negotiation. It is a notification. The quarantine ends today. You may inform your Grand Assembly of humanity's status as a spacefaring civilization. We will permit one of your vessels to return to Confederacy space to deliver this message. Permit. Zinvex's voice rose in pitch. You dare to threaten representatives of the Galactic Confederacy. Chen's expression hardened. It is the Confederacy that has threatened humanity for 80 years, Commander. We are merely establishing the new reality. Zinvex's pride overrode his judgment. All vessels, defensive positions. Prepare weapons. The 3 Confederacy ships moved into formation, their weapon systems powering up. On the Defiance, Admiral Chen sighed. A demonstration, then. Tactical. Target the lead vessel's propulsion system only. Minimal force. Before the Confederacy ships could fire, a precise beam of energy lanced out from the Defiance, striking Zinvex's vessel. The ship's engines immediately went dark. What happened? Demanded Zinvex. Propulsion systems are offline, reported his engineer. Power fluctuations throughout the vessel. They knew exactly where to hit us. On the view screen, Admiral Chen spoke again. That was a fraction of our capability, Commander. We have studied your technology thoroughly. We know its strengths and weaknesses. The next demonstration would be considerably less restrained. Zinvex felt the weight of 80 years of miscalculation crushing down on him. The humans hadn't been contained. They had been studying their watchers, learning, adapting. What are your terms? He asked finally. As I said, one ship returns to inform the Confederacy that the quarantine is lifted. The other 2 will remain as our guests until diplomatic relations are established. No harm will come to your crews if you cooperate. Zinvex knew he had no choice. Agreed. 3 months later, the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Confederacy was in uproar. Representatives from hundreds of species argued fiercely about the human situation. They reversed-engineered our technology, shouted Representative Quilks. This is unprecedented. They responded to our aggression with remarkable restraint, countered Representative Tallis. They could have destroyed all 3 vessels, but chose diplomacy instead. Elder Morven raised his tentacles for silence. The fact remains, our containment strategy has failed. The humans have achieved in decades what should have taken centuries. The holographic display showed the Defiance alongside the 2 captured Confederacy vessels, now docked at a massive space station in Earth orbit. Their proposal for diplomatic relations seems genuine, noted Representative Tallis. They've treated our personnel with respect, despite our past actions. Can we trust them? Asked another representative. Science advisor Jorleth stepped forward. My analysis suggests that humans are indeed unpredictable, but not inherently hostile. Their history shows a capacity for both tremendous violence and remarkable cooperation. Their technological adaptation rate is unlike anything we've encountered. They are dangerous, insisted Quilks. All species are dangerous when threatened, replied Tallis. Perhaps that was our mistake. Elder Morven considered silently. Finally, he spoke. We have two choices. Attempt to suppress a species that has already proven our containment ineffective, or welcome them, cautiously, into the galactic community. The vote was much closer this time, but the outcome was clear. The quarantine would be lifted. A formal diplomatic delegation would be sent to Earth. As the assembly dispersed, Tallis approached Jorleth. You've studied them the most. What do you think will happen? Jorleth's compound eyes blinked thoughtfully. They will change everything. Their rate of adaptation, their resourcefulness. The Confederacy has grown complacent over millennia of unchallenged dominance. The humans will force us to evolve. Is that good or bad? Asked Tallis. Both. Neither. It simply is. Jorleth paused. One thing is certain. The galaxy will never be the same. On the observation deck of the Defiance, Admiral Chen stood with Earth President Amara Okafor, watching as the Confederacy diplomatic vessel approached Earth. Do you think we did the right thing? Asked Okafor. Forcing our way onto the galactic stage like this? Chen considered before answering. They gave us no choice. Quarantine was a death sentence for humanity. One errant asteroid, one solar flare. We needed to expand beyond our solar system. And now? Now we join the stars as equals, not as specimens in a cosmic zoo. Chen smiled. Besides, from what we've learned of Confederacy technology, they've grown stagnant, set in their ways. Perhaps humanity has something to offer them as well. As the diplomatic vessel docked, humanity prepared to take its first official steps into a much larger universe, not as subjects of the Confederacy, but as a force to be reckoned with. The age of containment was over. The age of exploration had begun. The end.